Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Christina Parcell.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, CashApp, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends.
Definitely tell your friends.
Yep.
Because we will be doing a giveaway for St. Patrick's Day, courtesy of My Laundry Solutions. And we're going to be going live on YouTube Saturday, March 15th at 7 p.m. That's Central Standard Time. So check in on the live before you go out celebrating.
Yep. And make sure you guys are subscribed to all of our channels, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can add a comment or a review. And I'm going to put that list up here on the video, and that's most of them. And we also have like Podbean and everything, but put a clover and you'll be entered into the drawing. Mm-hmm. And we'll let you put, if it won't let you put the clover, then just type the word clover in the review.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see it. Now, 5 lucky winners will receive $50. We can do it by Cash App, or we can do like an electronic Visa gift card. We will announce the winners on the live. So if you want to make sure you get in on this, make sure you're on the live, and we'll enter your name into the drawing 2 more times.
Yep.
If you're there. So if you subscribe on the YouTube, the Facebook, the TikTok, the Podbean, all of them, and then you come to the live, that means you're entered each time you subscribed and commented, but then you get 2 more on top of that for coming on to the live.
Yep. Yeah. So, that's what, like 1,000 entries?
It's like a million entries honestly, right there.
You don't want to miss it.
No, you want some monies?
Yep.
We'll give you some.
And we got it, and like I said, it's all courtesy of My Laundry Solutions. They actually hit us up and was like, hey, let's do a St. Patty's Day deal. So we're going to go do a live on March 15th, and let's do this.
Yeah.
And tell your friends, tell them to go and subscribe and comment Clover, and they'll be entered to win too. Let's get everybody in on this and try to get some money out there.
Now, I do want to say, please don't put your Cash App handle on there or anything. If you don't want to make it public, we can message you, or you can message us.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to you if you win.
So when we're done and everything, what we'll probably do is, we'll probably do email or,
email or messenger,
or
however
whatever.
We can get a hold of you.
Yeah. And we'll coordinate that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we will get you the money.
Yeah, but you'll want to private message us your information, not the other way. Don't put it on everybody's business.
Yep.
Unless you want to. Maybe you need friends.
I'll be your friend.
There you go. You got one right there.
All right. So anyway, 3 minutes and 18 seconds.
Sorry.
If you didn't want to listen to how to win some money, that's where you fast forward to.
You say it at the end after it's already done.
I do.
Okay, so let's get into it. And if you haven't heard of this case, it's out of South Carolina, get ready. This is one that's been in trial, and I kind of feel sad for this poor jury. It was very confusing at first, most trials are, but this is also one of those where they didn't allow certain information into the trial, so it was similar to the Colin Griffith case we just covered. Some people thought that in order to get a fair trial, especially when the parts that are left out was for the defense, that, you kind of need all that information. So I'll give you all the information, and you can decide if it makes a difference or not. On October 13th of 2021, 41-year-old Christina's body was found in the house that she shared with her sister. She had been stabbed, so it was a bloody scene. But something else stuck out. There were rose petals scattered around.
Well, so it sounds, was it romantical?
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Romantical?
Yeah.
Sounds romantical.
Okay.
I was like, is that a word? No, I'm not just making shit up.
No, it's a real word, but you're saying romantically motivated?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to stop this recording so we could have a conversation.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it romantically motivated?
Right. So they were scattered all around where her body was found, and there were even some inside of her purse. So it looked like they had just been flung around the scene. It made a very weird image. And as police started looking into what led to this, it was a literal puzzle that they had to piece together to find out who did it and why. And it didn't look like a robbery. Plus, what robber brings flowers? I'm sorry, I'm taking all your stuff, but here's some roses. Like,
Yeah.
how does that work?
Well, I mean, and as he carries, the TV out to his van,
Right.
wearing her fur coat, I mean,
right.
that
There's
kind
an
of raises
image.
some questions.
A little bit, like, here's some flowers, I'm taking this TV.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wasn't a robber that got arrested for her murder. So let's do a little timeline to see how we get here. There are several people involved in this, so I'll try to keep from confusing you. We have Christina, who is a vet tech. And in December of 2008, she started dating Johnmello. He's about 20 or so years older than her. He is a music producer, lyricist, and songwriter. He says he worked with Elton John and the Rolling Stones. And he and Christina just hit it off. It was a relationship that we hear about often. So it started out great, ended up not so great. In 2012, they had a daughter, and we're going to call her AM because she's still a minor. So when the couple finally split up, they started fighting for custody of AM. John did file for sole custody, and it was granted to him in January of 2016.
Did she get visitation?
Not at first. She did file for it, but didn't end up getting granted scheduled visitation until August of 2016. Now, at this point, she also had a new man, Bradleypost. John wasn't too happy about AM being around Christina already, and now here's Brad. And John did file to revoke Christina's visitation in 2017 by saying Christina and Brad were abusing AM. Now, those are strong allegations. But by January of 2019, John and Christina agreed to a visitation order. The two of them came up with it, and the court granted it. So I guess all those allegations just went out the window. Now it's okay.
So John killed Christina, so he didn't have to share custody. I mean, kind of already solved it.
No, not quite,
It's
sir.
done. I mean, this one's in the bag.
Not quite, sir. John wasn't the person on trial.
Oh.
Ah, yeah. Now we're getting to him. But this brings us, good guess though.
It was a good guess.
But this brings us to 2020, the end of times. John and AM were out and about when they approached a man playing a keyboard on the streets. This was concert pianist Zacharyhughes. In 2019, Zach was training at the Marine Corps Officer Candidate School in Quantico, but had to quit because he had stress fractures in both legs. And once he was getting better, the pandemic hit. So he took to the streets. He was not just a street performer, he was classically trained, like Juilliard on scholarships kind of shit. John asked Zach to play AM's favorite, Claire de Lune, and he did. And that started a friendship between Zach and John. Now in October, for Zach's birthday, he and John went out on the town, going to a couple of bars and hitting up taco trucks, as you do. But as the night went on, John's mood changed. By the end of the night, he was talking about how worried he was for AM, concerned for her safety when she was with Christina. And that's where she currently was, on a trip with Christina. And I guess as the night went on, he just kept worrying more and more, like what's going on.
So what kind of abuse does he think he, is going on?
Sexual abuse.
Oh.
Yeah. So bad. And it was around this time that Zach started doing some work around John's house, him and another man. It was on October 4th of 2020 that John took AM and moved to Italy. He had Italian citizenship, so it wasn't hard for him to do, but he did not tell Christina, and he did not tell the court that he was doing it. So on October 30th, Christina filed a rule to show cause because now John has violated the visitation order. In December, the court appointed AM a guardian ad litem, which is someone who works on the best interest of the child when two parents just can't seem to agree. And John was found in contempt of the visitation order since he's left the country now. And it would be March of 2021 that Christina moved into a house with her sister on Canebrake Drive so that they would have room for AM. And a month later, the Italian Central Authority ordered that AM be returned to Christina in the States. Christina made a couple of trips to Italy to go to court there. But when returning from this particular trip, her boyfriend Brad proposed to her in the airport. So there's that. In John's eyes, this is just getting worse and worse. On April 17th, John used WhatsApp and scrambled the messages that he sent to Zach, which were kind of interesting to read in court. But he gave Zach Christina's phone number and told him to harass the shit out of her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's using Zach to do some of his dirty work.
He is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's in Italy now. So Zach here in the States, well, let's just have him do it all.
I got you.
And he's sending, John is sending Zach online sex ads linked to Christina to show that she was involved in prostitution. He also sent him a transcript of a deposition from a 2016 family court hearing where Christina was asked about the prostitution and drug use, and Christina pled the fifth. So he's like, look, she's definitely guilty of this. So he's showing him all these unsavory things and saying, this is why she's a threat to AM. And they were actually able to pull 1,760 encrypted messages between John and Zach. I don't even think me and you have that many text messages. But John is still facing stuff too for taking off with AM. And on April 19th, he was indicted for custodial interference. But he's still going. That's not stopping him. In May, John emailed 2 sexually explicit pictures of Christina to Zach and told him to use her online alias, Caroline Warren. Now, that's all the message said. That's allegedly the fake name that she was using for these online prostitution ads. John also sent him an affidavit from a firefighter who claimed in 2018 that Christina propositioned him for sex and drugs in exchange for money. So he's given Zach all these receipts, this is why she's a terrible person. And then Zach went to Italy to visit John in person. In June, Brad gets an envelope where his address was obviously the recipient, but it was his P.O. box that was listed as the sender. So he's like, that's weird. Inside this package were nude pictures of Christina, along with a list of addresses and a website link. He testified that he took this as a list of all the places that these pictures were going to be sent to. So he and Christina got a hold of the sheriff's office and they opened up an investigation.
So what was the website?
The website was the alleged prostitution site for Christina. But the investigator testified that if you clicked on that URL or went to it, it took you to a different escort site. And they couldn't find anything for Christina or Caroline Warren, her alias. Weird, right? So in July, those pictures of Christina were sent to her work, 2 of her neighbors, and even Outman Cigars and Martini Bar, which is just a place that Brad and Christina used to hang out. These letters are going to everybody.
Yeah.
And they had letters inside of them saying, please find enclosed photos and information pertaining to one Christina Parcell, a.k.a. Caroline Warren, paramour of Bradleypost. So they're really on it.
Yeah.
On July 21st, an arrest warrant was issued for John in Greenville, South Carolina for the custodial interference. In September, Zach called the Department of Social Services to report abuse against AM. Now, he is completely convinced that she is in danger and he is the only one who can help her. Okay. They weren't getting the outcome that they wanted, John and Zach. And you could tell by their WhatsApp messages leading up to the murder that things were just not progressing fast enough. Nobody was doing anything. They're sending out all this information, but nobody's acting on it. So here's what happened the day of the murder, according to surveillance footage and Zach's own testimony, because yes, he did testify and he did say he murdered Christina, the concert pianist who has nothing to do with nothing. Anyways, the day before the murder, Zach put his phone into airplane mode twice. So they were trying to figure out why he did that. He would testify that he was planning on actually committing the murder that day, but he woke up feeling reluctant. So he didn't do it that day.
So he was just he just wasn't feeling it that day.
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling murdery that day.
Just a little messed up.
Yeah, a little bit. Not. Oof. So Zach woke up the day of the murder. So it was like 4:30 a.m. on October 13th of 2021. He knew that Christina had a job interview that morning and that AM was at school. So Brad had talked to her on the phone that morning and all was good. She was on her way to the interview. Everything's fine. At 8:15, Zach is spotted on Canebrake Drive. So people's Ring cameras, surveillance cameras, then when they go back and look, you can see him. So that's at 8:15. Christina gets home at 9:07. And then at 9:15, so immediately after, Zach, dressed in a gray hoodie and carrying a black backpack, rides his bike to Christina's house carrying a bouquet of roses. And he is caught on a neighbor's Ring camera from across the street where he's ringing the doorbell and Christina comes to it. Now, this is just like a motion activated, so they just have like a clip of him standing in front of the door and then it stops. But it's definitely him standing in front of that door. He rings the doorbell, like I said. Christina answers the door, and he says he's delivering flowers to her sister, Tina. Christina tells him that Tina's not home, so Zach says now he knows that she's definitely home alone, that there was only 3 people in the house, 2 of them are gone. Math. So he hands her the flowers, and then they're in like a box, and he pulls a gun from the box of flowers. Now, this gun is not loaded. He said he thought about shooting her, but didn't want the neighbors to hear. So he just used the gun to force Christina back into the house. He hit her on the head with the gun, and her reaction when she fell, he said it made her look like a sympathetic figure. So he couldn't hit her again, like it messed with him somehow. Christina picked up on his hesitation, and she started fighting. Zach uses his knife to repeatedly strike her until they both fall to the floor, and Christina stopped moving. It was at 9:27 that Zach is spotted on his bike about 0.4 miles away from Christina's house. So it was 12 minutes for him to do all that and get almost half a mile down the road.
Yeah, that's damn.
Yeah. They have his truck on flock cameras. Those are the license plate reader cameras. The day before and the day of, driving to the area with his bicycle in the back of the truck. So I guess he would drive to the area, then bike into the neighborhood, and then bike back to the truck and drive away. John texted Zach that day, "How did that music research go?" And Zach replied, "Good, I'll tell you over the phone." So it sounds like John was asking about their plan for that day. Brad is calling and can't get a hold of Christina, so he drove over to her house to check on her. He says he went in the back door because they always kept that unlocked, something that her sister Tina disputes. But he calls 911 at 11 a.m., saying, "I think I might have a death." He's transferred to EMS, and he tells them that there's a very weird smell in the house, and Christina was laying flat on the floor. They tell him how to do CPR, and he says, "I think she's gone. There's blood everywhere, and her eyes were open." So he told police when they arrived, it was dark, quiet. And so I walked back down the hallway to see if she was in the bathroom or shower, and it was all dark. I looked on the floor, and right at the entrance of that hallway, there were petals from a rose. As I looked into the room, and I saw her on her back. I walked over and yelled at her, and then called 911. One of the responding deputies did say that there was a strong chemical smell when they got there too. We find out later that Zach had used paint thinner on her hands to try to get rid of any DNA evidence from where she had fought back. But they still find his DNA under her fingernails. So, joke's on him. They did also find a clear Ziploc bag containing a white powdery substance that had dried blood on it. A cell phone was located near her body. Her purse containing 2 envelopes with $500 cash each was found on a table near the hallway. Memory cards and a laptop were found in the living room near her. A small single-shot pistol was found in a bag in a suitcase in the back room. In her bedroom were documents from the custody battle along with USB drives, and there was blood on the bed sheets.
So how was there blood in the bedroom if she was killed in the living room?
Exactly. So keep that in mind while you're making your decision on what happened. There were also drag marks in the blood to show that she had been moved at some point after the attack. The next day, the coroner determined that Christina had been stabbed approximately 31 times.
Oof.
Yeah, most of the damage was to the right side of her head and neck. But police had no idea who Zach was at this time. They pulled Brad in to talk to him on the 19th, which was almost a week later. They got his phone, and while looking through the phone, they found CSAM, child sexual abuse material. So he ended up being arrested on 6 charges of sexual exploitation of a minor. They also know that when waiting for the police after finding Christina, he was deleting a bunch of pictures off of his phone. John is not a suspect because he was in Italy, of course, but he came back to the States on October 21st. He was arrested and put in a detention center because of that warrant out for him for the custodial interference. The only contact he listed on his paperwork was Zach. He even had a recorded video on his phone saying Zach had the right to collect his luggage and medication from the Charlotte airport. They had also talked to the other man who was working on John's house here in the States, Michael, and he said he worked on the house with Zach. So that's how they made their way to Zach, and then found all the other stuff out that we've talked about. In September of 2023, Zach and John were charged with first-degree harassment and conspiracy to commit harassment when they found out that they had sent all those nude pictures of Christina to all those different people. So
I wonder if, John has, ever done this before.
Like the harassing people part?
Any of it.
He's definitely had instances in the past where people have accused him of harassment and making threats. So this is apparently his thing. And when it didn't work, they took it further.
Yeah.
Now, while out on jail in March of 2024, he filed a DSS report against Christina's sister, Tina, saying that a now 11-year-old AM said she was photographed by Tina when she was getting out of the shower, saying she saw her aunt taking pictures through a crack in the door during visitation. DSS did investigate and found these accusations unfounded a month later. Words are cool when you can use them. The next day, John's custodial interference charges were dismissed. So now he's clear. Now, the trial for Zach for Christina's murder started February 11th of 2025. So this was literally a couple weeks ago. And like I said, he did testify. And that was a show, to say the least. Because even though Brad was currently in custody and is pending his trial for the CSAM, even though some of the pictures allegedly show that Christina was participating in the abuse of her daughter, even though Zach's defense was that he had exhausted all efforts to protect her from her mom and Brad, and that is why he felt he had to kill Christina, that was not allowed in court. This was like his whole defense, that it was self-defense for AM. That's part of the reason that I believe this was confusing to the jury. They would get little bits and pieces, but not the whole story. And they even brought Brad in to testify in an orange jumpsuit, so they know he's been arrested for something. It's so weird. But Brad took care of all that. Nope. That was a lie. Not Brad. Zach. Zach took care of all that. He did talk. I know. I got so many names. It was Zach.
There's a lot going on this one. There's a lot of people.
There's a lot. So
all for one person.
Right. Right. So it's, yeah. But
I'm finding it hard to follow.
Yeah.
A little bit just because all the names.
There's a lot of names. Yeah.
So who's AM? That's
AM is the daughter. Mm-hmm. We're not saying her actual name.
The daughter of
Christina and John.
John. Okay. See, I was thinking Zach for some stupid reason.
Zach's just the friend who popped in to help his buddy out, I guess.
Well, that's where I was trying to.
I know.
I was getting confused by him, but anyway.
I know. And we'll post a picture of all of them. I have one that's the 3 men and Christina, so you can see what each one looks like.
I did let me do the case pick up here. I did the one where it was kind of the house.
Okay, yeah, so you can see the rose petals.
You can see the rose petals and then it showed like the Ring camera.
Yep, that's Zach on his bicycle in the corner. That's Zach on it almost looks like a trail cam.
No, that'd be a Ring camera.
Okay, so that's Zach walking. That's in his scope in the hood,
Oh, up here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be a trail, or it might just be a picture.
Who knows? Either way, he was caught on multiple surveillance cameras. So they know he was there. Plus, he's not even lying about it. But when he took the stand, he was very pissed off because his defense was that John was out of the country. He felt very bad that AM was being sexually abused by Brad and Christina, and nobody was doing anything about it. The court wasn't, social services wasn't. Nobody seemed to believe them, and so they felt like she was in danger and they had to help. And Zach says this is why he killed Christina. So this is his whole defense. But then he goes to court and they're like, you're not allowed to talk about that. So he's like, okay. So let me tell you what he did say.
But I mean, that's like just the way they do it. They want to get whatever information they can get out to make it look as bad or as good as they can.
Right. So their point of this was that it didn't really matter what his motive was. He's still not allowed to kill somebody.
Yeah.
So they're like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be brought in because it's not a real defense.
Yeah.
So when Zach was on the stand, he doesn't listen very well. I actually cannot stand this guy. But he said, it wasn't that she was immoral. So he's talking about Christina. It wasn't that she was immoral. She was amoral. She was dead inside. A masterful manipulator and deceiver. She could lie at the drop of a hat. I realized the incredible danger that Christina Parcell was. A glimpse into AM's possible future if she remained in her custody. And the facts have proven that I was right. So he's not allowed to say that. So here we go. The state is screaming objection. The judge has to stop and tell the jury, you have to disregard that. But then Zach goes on and he calls Brad a pedophile. So then they have to do it again. Objection. Judge steps in again. He said he was right about the sexual abuse allegations, that Christina was sexually abusing her daughter. He said, I knew AM would be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Nice.
So prosecution, when he was trying to finish that sentence, was screaming, objection, trying to get him to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And he finished his sentence. He was like, I'm not stopping. I'm telling you exactly how it is.
Well, I mean, he's probably at this point like,
what do you got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I'm already going down for it.
Yeah, because he's not denying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. No matter what, even if the judge says, disregard that, you're not allowed to talk about it, you can't unhear that.
No, and that's the whole thing. It's like when you're in these jury trials or when you're listening to these jury trials and everything, and the judge is like, mark that from your notes or disregard what you just heard. They cannot. You're right. They cannot unhear that. And even though they're like, yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor, whatever, it's still burning in the back of their head as to what they heard. And that does play a factor in their decision.
I know. Even if they tell you not to, it's still there.
It's still there. And they can say it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But it still had a factor.
It does. And he even tells them, the judge tells them that they can't use any of that in their deliberations. They couldn't even talk about it in their discussions. Like they were not allowed to acknowledge this at all. But I can guarantee you it was acknowledged.
They don't have to even discuss it. It's already in all their heads.
Yep. It's there.
I mean,
it's there. They all know. Yep. So you can't unring that bell.
Nope.
The thing is wrong.
But and it doesn't change the fact that he killed her, though.
No.
I mean, and that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just, it's not going to change their opinion on him, even if they tell him to stop.
Yeah.
Don't. Disregard that.
He's like, well, she was being abused, so I had to help her. And they're like, okay, but you had to kill her? There's a difference in helping somebody and killing somebody.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing.
Exactly.
Everybody thinks different, in his mind. That was his solution.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Zach also talked
it's
about...
It's not right. It's not right at all. But, that's not the right way to go about something like that. But, some people it's just not the right way.
Yeah.
There's different ways.
There's ways.
He
said he felt like he exhausted all of his options. I don't think he quite did, but in his mind, he said he had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was also going off everything that John was telling him. Because John was telling him things like that he was on a FaceTime with AM once, and when done, Christina picked up the phone and made the motion across her throat with her finger, and he took that to mean that she was threatening his life. And John also told Zach that he had got a threatening email from someone in the biker community that Brad was associated with. So he was feeding Zach all this information, whether true or not, and Zach was running with it.
How's this like the biker community, like the people that, hold up traffic? The bicyclists?
No, not bicycle, like tough guy bikers, like motorcycles.
I gotcha.
Not that bicyclists aren't tough guys. I just meant,
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Zach is sitting on the stand and he starts talking about how his parents had adopted a set of 5 siblings from Russia when he was younger. And the oldest one, Grace, had severe mental issues. Actually, several of them had suffered. They had like post-traumatic stress and many issues that they were dealing with that the family wasn't told about before they came to the States. But Grace in particular had a severe illness, according to Zach. He believed she was a sociopath. And these stories about Christina were reminding him of his sister Grace. And so Zach said in court that a different court, like court records from back when he was a kid, he had said that he had found a notebook where Grace had planned to kill their parents. And so his parents called DHS and was like, hey, this kid is talking about trying to kill us. Grace told them that they were being mistreated in the home. So then there was like a whole ordeal. And I'm not sure exactly what happened with all of that, but it appears that Grace was removed from the home. And so when Zach started hearing about Christina, it was bringing back memories of Grace. And he said that he felt like Christina, who he didn't even know, was also a sociopath like Grace was and capable of anything. So in his mind.
So who's Grace?
Grace is Zach's sister. So that's what I'm saying.
Oh, so he
said that triggered.
He got triggered.
Yeah, he got triggered because of his past.
I got you.
Yeah.
So he's seen the same
traits. Yeah.
The same traits, mannerisms, whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
As what happened to him in his life.
Right.
I got you.
So, yeah. Now, the state believes that the cocaine that was found in her house that day was planted, probably by Zach's bloody fingers. Tina said that they don't do drugs and definitely don't leave coke laying around the house. But would someone really be like, oh, there's my coke. Thanks for finding it, cops? No. You would say, I don't have drugs in this house. I don't know where that came from. So do with that what you will. I imagine they may bring up what was found. Remember, I told you that they found USB drives. They took laptops. They took a lot of electronics. But I'm sure they're going to talk about what all that was on when Brad comes up to trial or what all was on that. The state also believes that John used private pictures that were taken when they were together to make up those ads for the fake escort websites. So they're saying that all this stuff was fabricated by John, that Christina wasn't on the prostitution sites, that these were literally 2 pictures that he had from when they were in a relationship, and he turned them into this whole like fake life that she supposedly had. But who knows? But it was when Zach talked about John offering him $5,000 to kill Christina that gave the cops something to work with. He said that he was insulted by that and turned that down. So John came back a couple weeks later and offered him $10,000 to kill Christina.
Oop, busted.
Yeah, they were busted. So this was said on the stand at trial. So they went and arrested John that day. And after being in court all day on February 19th, listening to the man talk about how he killed her sister, how he did it, why he did it, all the details. Tina, her sister, had to go to John's bond hearing at 9:30 that night, and she took Christina's ashes with her. And she said at that hearing, "I brought Christina because she deserves to be here. We have waited 1,224 days for this, and I wish I could tell you it felt good, John, but it's not going to feel good yet. You did this to your family. Your child has to know that you did this to her family." So she was like yelling at him in the court. She was big mad. He was denied bond, and he's now still in jail, waiting for his next bond hearing, which was 30 days from then. And it was the next day that they were back in court for Zach, where he was found guilty of murder, possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, first-degree burglary, and second-degree harassment. So there was Tina again the next day having to give another victim impact statement, but I'm sure she'd probably do it over and over again. The defense attorney in closing arguments was trying to show that Christina did not suffer any emotional distress due to the harassment because she was never described as upset, shaking, etc. When Tina gave her statement for the victim impact statement, she threw those words right back at him, saying that while Zach walked through the murder of her sister, he was not upset, shaking, etc. So she was like, who's emotionally distressed around here now? Nobody. He did it. He knows he did it. He doesn't care that he did it. You know, it's like she was so mad. So Zach did end up getting life for the murder and life for the burglary. So he got 2 life sentences and then some more little sentences for the rest of those, which don't even really matter. They even gave him a little 6-month sentence for contempt for having all them outbursts during his testimony that he kept getting in trouble for. But he probably thinks that was a pretty fair trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he gone.
He is. And there's a lot of people who agree that they tried to keep the abuse out of it, and that wouldn't have given him a fair trial. That all this should have been admitted. And that's probably what he'll do his appeal on, is that he wasn't allowed to admit this. But at the same time, Brad just got arrested. He's not convicted of anything yet. So that's another thing that you have to worry about putting it in. I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that either way you look at this, this was not how self-defense works. Because that's what he's saying. I killed her in self-defense for AM, but AM wasn't even at the house.
Yeah.
So in order to get self-defense, it has to be an immediate danger, like that you're literally fighting for your life. And he was not fighting for anybody's life.
Yeah.
He was just trying to eliminate a problem, something he thought was a problem. And you have to think too, these were just allegations during that time. This stuff did not come out until Brad was arrested. So when he murdered Christina, like, these were still just allegations. There was no proof. They didn't get the proof till a week later after Christina died. So he can't, now that's why he was like, and I was right, you know, all cocky. Anyways, sorry. So where are we at? And so a lot of people are saying that this was vigilante justice. Of course, he did say this was not about revenge or retribution or anything. I wasn't angry. The only thing I was feeling that day was pity. So he came off a little sociopathic, self-righteous, emotionless, all the adjectives you can just insert here. So we will have to wait to see what happens with John and Brad, because now all 3 of them are in the same jail, which I think is hilarious. Brad even has a suit against him because allegedly some of those thousands of CSAM images found on his phone include some of one of AM's friends. So a friend that had come over to stay the night. There's allegedly videos and pictures of her as well. And Christina is clearly in the photos and video. So, yeah. So now he's being sued by her parents as well.
That's gross.
I know. So I want to know what y'all think about this case, because we all feel a certain way about people who hurt children. And some people say that this is, you know, Was she dirty? We won't know. We won't know until Brad's trial to see what they actually found. But I don't know. Let us know what you think for sure. I want to know.
Yeah. But, that's it's screwed up.
It's messed up. Does it give him the right to go do it himself? No, he had nothing to do with it. He really had nothing to do with it.
No, but, in his mind, he felt like he did.
He did.
Which doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
But anyway, so that's the end of this one.
Yep.
But make sure you guys tell your friends, and like I said, go and like, share, subscribe, and comment Clover.
Get your Clover on there.
Or do an emoji of Clover, do a meme of Clover, do a GIF of a Clover.
Send us something funny.
Yeah, do something funny. And I'll put you in to enter one of the $50 gift cards, and which we're going to give away on the live on the 15th. So tell your friends, and they will also get in there. And if you are on the live, you will get 2 more entries.
And remember, that's on each platform.
Yes, you'll get an entry for each platform that you subscribe to.
All of them.
And comment Clover or put a Clover.
Yeah.
So
now, if you do like our content and want to contribute to the channel, there's ways to do it, like share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when new episodes drop. We do have a Cash App that you have access to by our email, which is danda.truecrime@gmail.com.
And we have Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/MWTM. And guys, like I said, as always, tell your friends.
Tell them.
Yep. So until next time, like we said, we hope you enjoy our content. For all of our subscribers, all of our new subscribers, thank you.
Yes.
This wouldn't be possible without you. And until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.